Welcome back for another Music Theory Bite. In this video, I'm going to show you some drills for gaining facility and comfort with singing your tonal seventh chords. If that sounds like something you'd like to learn more about, then this is the video for you. But before you watch this video, you absolutely must watch my videos on spelling seventh chords and my video series on singing the various types of tonal seventh chords. I have separate videos for singing major seventh chords, dominant seventh chords, minor seventh chords, and diminished seventh chords. You'll need that information to make sense of what I'm going to show you in this video. So if you're ready, let's begin. Seventh chords are always a little bit challenging for my undergraduate students. It takes a little bit of time to kind of wrap your head around the difference between them and the different sounds between them. So as a result, I like to introduce some drill exercises that kind of help that process along. What I'm going to show you today is a drill that I learned from a colleague of mine, Mary Dobré-Grindal, who was the co-author of the textbook that I helped write. And this set of exercises is really good for just getting you used to the sounds of the seventh chords, how to spell them, and how they differ from one another. The very basic form of this drill is fairly easy. That is, we're going to sing each of the tonal seventh chords in order, starting with a major seventh chord and ending with a fully diminished seventh chord. We're going to start from the same starting pitch, and we're just going to move the other chord members around as we need to create the various chord qualities. Now what you're going to find is that each of these seventh chords is only a half step difference on one pitch from the seventh chord immediately next to it in the sequence. So the way it works is this. We start with a major seventh chord, and I'm going to use the scale degree numbers that go along with each of these just to reinforce the theory behind that. So if I start with this pitch, 1, and I'll sing my major seventh chord. 1, 3, 5, 7. Next I'm going to change it to a dominant seventh chord, and all I need to do to change it to that is to lower the seventh by a half step and change the scale degree numbers. 5, 7, 2, 4. Next comes the minor seventh chord, and all I have to do to change a dominant seventh into a minor seventh is to lower the third and change the numbers. 2, 4, 6, 1. Next, I'm going to change it to a half diminished seventh chord, and the difference between a minor seventh and a half diminished seventh is lowering the fifth of the chord by a half step and changing the numbers. 7, 2, 4, 6. And finally the fully diminished seventh chord, where all I have to do is take my half diminished and lower the seventh by a half step. 7, 2, 4, 6. So the whole sequence sounds like this. 1, 3, 5, 7. 5, 7, 2, 4. 2, 4, 6, 1. 7, 2, 4, 6. 7, 2, 4, 6. And I've sung all of my tonal seventh chords in sequence starting on the same pitch. Now one of the things I like about this drill is that it's very adaptable. So after my students get used to singing it in that way, all the chords starting on the same pitch and singing them up from the bottom, then there are hundreds of ways that I can modify that drill to make it a little bit more challenging and to stretch their ears. So let's go over a couple of those. The first thing I can do is simply just change the ordering of all the chords. So I could start on the seventh of the chord and sing them down, or start on one of the middle pitches and sing to the high pitch or the low pitch and then the other middle pitch. There's all sorts of different ways that I can do that because there are 24 different orderings for any four-pitch collection, and that's what a seventh chord is, a four-pitch collection. I'm still doing the exact same thing. I'm still changing one chord tone to get from one chord to the next, and I'm doing that by sliding down a half step. I could also vary the pattern by singing it the opposite way in my sequence. So if I started on my fully diminished seventh chord, 7, 2, 4, 6. Now by raising the seventh, 7, 2, 4, 6. Now I'm going to raise the fifth, 2, 4, 6, 1. Now I'm going to raise the third. 5, 7, 2, 4, and now I raise the seventh. 1, 3, 5, 7, and I've sung the pattern now backwards from the way I originally did. Another fun way to change this pattern is to invert the chords. Fairly easy to do, and there's actually two ways that I can make this work. So let's say I deal with a third inversion chord. I'll start out with my major seventh chord. 7, 1, 3, 5. Next, to get to a dominant seventh chord, I lower the seventh. 4, 5, 7, 2. And then I lower the third to get to minor seventh. 1, 2, 4, 6, and I can continue the pattern on that way. Now the other way I can do this is by keeping that starting pitch constant. So rather than lowering the seventh from my major seventh to my dominant seventh, what that means is I have to raise everything else. So it works like this. If I start with my major seventh chord in third inversion, 7, 1, 3, 5. To get to a dominant seventh, I ordinarily lower the seventh, but my seventh is my pitch that's not going to go anywhere, so I'm going to change all the other pitches by raising them. 4, 5, 7, 2, and then I can run through the rest of the pattern that way. I can take any of the chord members and hold those constant throughout the entire sequence. So, for example, I could start with my root position chords and keep the third of the chord exactly where it is. So in the place where I lower the third from the dominant seventh to the minor seventh, I would instead be raising every other pitch. It takes a little bit of thought to make this work, but it's worth the effort. The reason why I like this drill so much is that there are literally hundreds of ways to manipulate the basic drill of singing all those seventh chords in root position from bottom up in order to make something new and interesting that's going to challenge me. So the next thing I would do is combine operations together. So maybe I sing inverted chords, but I sing the sequence backwards. Or maybe I start on a different chord than major seventh or diminished seventh, start in the middle with a minor seventh, and run through the sequence either direction. There are literally hundreds of ways to do it. After I do that, then I can add in inversions, add in orderings. So there's no end to the ways that I can challenge myself. Now the important thing when doing this is that you're listening to yourself, not only to quality of your sound and intonation, but also the individual sounds of each of those chords. If you're not sure about something you just sang, the best way to double check yourself is to sing it first, then immediately play it on the piano, maybe while you're still singing the last pitch. So for example, a major seventh chord, 1, 3, 5, 7. Not sure if that's right. I'm going to check it. Got it. So then I move to the dominant. 5, 7, 2, 4. And that's correct. And if I make a mistake, I want to back up and figure out where the mistake happened and how I can fix it the next time. As always, after you've sung these drills, then transfer them over to your instrument. That way, the study of aural skills comes alive and becomes much more practical with what it is that you're doing every day on your instrument. Well, that does it for this video. If you found it helpful, make sure you like it. Feel free to leave comments below, as long as they're constructive. And as always, make sure you subscribe to my channel for the latest music theory bites as they become available. Until next time.